All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Give everybody a couple seconds just to get situated here, and then we will get this ball rolling. And I've already got Tom saying, talk louder. We won't say what that says about you, Tom. Anyway, thank you all for joining the One Ohio Recovery Foundation Board of Directors August meeting. I would like to have Sarah lead us through a roll call and to establish quorum for the meeting.
I'll just give everybody a second to get themselves off of mute. That is virtually. Director Rachel Baker. Director William Cox.
Here.
Director Monica Moran. Director Monica Rob Blaisdell. Director Dawn Tyler Lee.
Here.
Director D Stone.
Here.
Director David Mattia.
Here.
Director Scott Silak.
Here.
Director Greta Johnson. Director Keith Hohaddle.
Here.
Director Dwayne Piccirilli.
Here.
Director Judy Dodge.
Here.
Director Scotty Powell. Director Jeanette Worsbicky.
Here.
Director Don Mason. Director Ted St. John.
Here.
Director Greta Mayer.
Here.
Director Julie Amon.
Here.
Director Alicia Bruce. Director Mark Stahl.
Here.
Director Tom Whiston. Director Daphne Ayers.
Here.
Director Tom Gregoire.
Here.
Director Jonathan Lee. Director Jim White.
Here. Here.
He's really here.
Somebody turn that.
Director Robert Radcliffe. Director Michael Roizen.
Here.
That's it.
I would just like to note Director Rachel Baker just joined us.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. I'd also like to welcome our guests. Thank you all for joining us today and committing your time to One Ohio. Those of you online, we cannot hear your comments and feedback during the meeting. Please email the foundation, as we would be happy to hear from us. You can email us at info@oneohiofoundation.com. Moving on to the chair update, there's a few brief updates. As we begin today's meeting, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and sincerely thank the board members whose terms have recently concluded. They include Terry Johnson, Evan Claymeyer, and Mershal Handrew. Serving on the One Ohio Recovery Foundation requires an extraordinary commitment of time, thought, and leadership. Those persons on the grants committee know exactly what I'm talking about. Our departing members have generously shared their expertise, asked thoughtful questions, and helped guide important decisions that will have a lasting impact on recovery efforts across Ohio. So on behalf of the board, staff, and the communities we serve, we want to thank them for their dedication, service, and partnership. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Dr. John Sprague. John was on our expert panel, and he was a very dedicated member, and we want to extend our sincere appreciation to him. We're grateful for the time, expertise, and perspective he brought to the foundation's work. His contributions have been invaluable. We'd like to thank him for his commitment to advancing our mission and wish John all the best in his future endeavors. Moving on, it's my pleasure to welcome our newest members to the One Ohio Recovery Foundation Board of Directors. First is William Cox. William has been appointed by the Senate, and we'll let William take a few moments to introduce.
Thank you. Senate appointment. I am the current chief counsel for the Ohio Senate Majority Caucus. Very pleased to be here. I have a background actually from Ohio Casino Control Commission, where I worked for about 8 years. My backup role, in addition to legal there, was working with our prevention, recovery, and treatment teams for gambling disorders. So very excited to help the board continue the good work it's doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Do you go by William?
Will or William.
Okay.
I mean, I've been called worse.
Well, welcome. We have Commissioner Mark Stahl from Region 17, and I'm not sure if Mark is on with us today or not. He is. Okay, great. So Commissioner, please introduce yourself.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to serve on this board. I certainly appreciate all the work that you do. My name is Mark Stahl. I'm an Ottawa County Commissioner. I sat on the Region 17 board. Most recently was chairman of that board. My background is in accounting and finance. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Toledo, and I look forward to serving on this board and making a contribution. And again, thank you for all the work that you all do.
Thank you, Mark. And finally, we have Monica Moran, and Monica is an appointment from the Senate. So let you talk a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Monica Moran. I work as the Chief of Staff for the Senate Minority Caucus. Previously did some work in the advocacy space, a lot of that overlapping with healthcare advocacy, in particular mental health advocacy, and specifically in the Northeast Ohio area. I'm happy to be here. It was definitely great to roll up the sleeves and get into the work of reviewing all of these grants. Look forward to working with the rest of you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you all. On behalf of the board and staff, welcome to the One Ohio Recovery Foundation. We look forward to working with each of you and appreciate your commitment to this important work. Next, I have a couple housekeeping items. First, I wanted to remind you all that as part of the annual financial audit, our independent audit team recently distributed a governance questionnaire to all board members. The questionnaire is a standard component of the audit process and helps the auditors assess governance practices and internal controls. So thank you to everyone who has already completed that. But if you have not yet done so, look to your email for a message from SEO CPA Group from Heather Dolan, and please submit your response as soon as possible. This is only for the board members who served in 2025. And if you have not yet received a message from Heather and her team, please let Sarah or Alicia know, and they will make sure you get it. Over the last month, I've had a chance to connect with many of you who may not already serve on one of our board committees. I want to thank those of you that have recently joined committees as a part of the board. I truly look forward to having you all engaged, and I appreciate your willingness to serve. Our committees are a critical part of our governance and a place where much of our work happens. If you have not gotten a chance to connect with me on which committee you'd like to serve, please know I'll be reaching back out. And then we're going to move on to the agenda. I'd like an approval to today's agenda unless there are any proposed edits.
I move approval of today's agenda.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there a second? Second by Jeanette. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. In your packet are the draft meeting minutes from May 13th of the 2026. There is an edit to those minutes. We're adding Dee Stone to the attendance and removing Rachel Baker. So unless anyone has any other notes, I'd like a motion to approve the May meeting minutes with the changes that have been noted.
So moved.
Motion by Tom, and I'll take the second by Dr. Roizen. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Next is the mission moment, and I'd like to turn the floor over to Amy Shadwick to give us an update on our public education program.
Thank you, Julie. I think I got
about
the
your vacation first.
Oh, yeah. Judge Mattia is friends with me on Facebook, so he saw my daily updates from my 10-day trip in Italy and Spain with my 13-year-old daughter. So my voice may still be a little raspy as I'm recovering still from the jet lag and the time change. Well, I'm excited to be here this morning and give you an update on our public education work. I'm going to focus most of the update today on the press conference from July 23rd, which when I was on my trip, I wasn't able to be here for the great launch. But for way of background, especially for to level set for the new board members before I get in specifically around the press conference, I just wanted to remind and give folks a little bit of background that this work that I'm giving an update on is as a result of our work with the Department of Commerce and the Department of Administrative Services. So late last year, the team at the state put out an RFP looking for a statewide nonprofit organization to do cannabis public education campaigns. They were looking for a partner to do 4 campaigns focused on 3 audiences: pregnant women, youth, and employers. So as most of the board members know, and with your all support, we were able to submit for that RFP. We were selected as the statewide nonprofit organization to do that work. And we started that work in January. So we decided to start with pregnant women as the first campaign. And so as I go through the launch, I'm going to go ahead and also pass out this that gives additional background. I'm just going to start it here. Come around if we run out. And for those of you that are online, what we're passing around is the report that is also electronically in the board packet, the FY26 annual report. This is the annual report specifically requested by the Department of Commerce for this work. So it's a state fiscal year annual report. So what it highlights is really all of the work that we've done from January to June. It also includes some more polling and data around our statewide poll around cannabis, really acceptance and normalization, and also around some of our pregnancy and youth research. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking through that today, but wanted to give that to you to give you some additional background as well, so you can see everything that we've been working on since January. So the last thing before I hop into the press conference, just as it says in the report, but always important to level set and remind that really this work is really a natural fit for the One Ohio Recovery Foundation, as you all helped set our mission to prevent substance misuse, promote recovery, and strengthen Ohio communities. We know that touching all sorts of substances and preventing that misuse will really help to strengthen our communities. So again, natural extension of the work that we're doing as a foundation. So Sarah, if you go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we had a press conference on July 23rd. The goal of that press conference was to raise awareness about the pregnancy campaign. So again, the first target audience for this campaign is pregnant women. Our poll told us that 51% of pregnant women or women who hope to be pregnant use cannabis. So a really important opportunity here to educate and provide information to women as they make their choices about their pregnancy and about their young ones. So on July 23rd, we had that press conference. Special thanks to many of our partners, but to Mad Global in particular, who led the earned media and the work on the press conference, and also to Truth Initiative, who came in, was one of the speakers, and to Real Art, who's also one of our other partners. But we had great coverage. The other note that I'll make on here is, because this happened within the last few weeks, the numbers are changing. So the Truth Initiative actually sent out a national press release as well. And even since this update, we've got a most recent that their press release also hit 550 outlets on the national level. So we got really great coverage both at the state level and the national level. If you go to the next slide, Sarah, just a few show and tells for you so you can see some of the key Ohio headlines on that coverage that we got about the campaign and the press conference. And then the next slide is actually some of those national headlines, the Associated Press and the AOL. And as I mentioned, that was 550 headlines or outlets as well. If we go to the next one. So as we know with campaigns like this, it's important to have a multi-pronged approach. So no different here. We are doing paid advertising that's in the digital space, but we have a series of other complementary tools, both to reach pregnant women and then also to reach community partners, as you all know, because you're part of many of those community partners. Well, it's really important to reach our target audience of pregnant women. We need to make sure we're also reaching our community partners who also reach pregnant women to help spread the word and raise awareness about the campaign. So on here, you'll see a snippet. Again, all of this too, you can toggle through to our website, but since the press conference, we've had over 1,900 page views. And for those of you that have a background in communications or marketing, you see the average duration on the website, on the web page is 4 minutes and 39 seconds. That's pretty astronomical. A typical benchmark there is 1 minute and 33 seconds is really what you hope to accomplish. So we're having a good indication that we're catching women's attention and they're going on the website and they're spending more time there learning and gathering more facts and information to make the decision for them about using cannabis during pregnancy. Next slide, Sarah. And then hopefully all of you are already following us on our social media channels. So if you're not, and especially for those new board members, we hope that you'll do that. But we are putting information out certainly on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And again, you'll see not on the paid side, but on that organic side where we're putting the information out. We've had over 17,000 impressions. So a good indication, again, that people are seeing the information, that we're getting eyes on the information, which really is our first goal. If we're going to increase knowledge, people have to see and know that we're doing this work. The next slide, please. Again, just a continuation to really, again, hopefully you all saw, and I know our chairperson, Julie, joined us at the press conference as well. But in addition to our social media posts, we were also able to then refeature on social media. The Columbus Dispatch published an article on the same day as our press conference, again, thanks to the great work of the MAD Global team. And then we had lots of additional activity on social media. Next slide. And then, as I mentioned, this work, and hopefully from where each of you sit at your community organizations, you're thinking about how you might help share the information as well. But Franklin County Public Health Commissioner Joe Mazzola actually participated in the press conference and talked about the importance of community partners and sharing this information. So he reshared on social media, but if you go to the next slide, that's why we spent a lot of time actually creating a partner toolkit as well. So again, target audience is pregnant women. We wanted to make sure that we created information for our community partners that they could take and use and share about the campaign. So if you go to the website, there's a toolkit that includes social media posts, there's e-newsletter articles, there's posters, there's all of the information that as a community partner, that if you might like to share and use, it's open, it's available, and it's accessible. And we've had 310 total visits to that page for the toolkit. Again, this is just a snapshot in time from a few days ago. So I would imagine that's even has went up. But the fact that we've had over 300 people take a look at that toolkit is really impactful, thinking about we need all hands on deck to be able to reach as many pregnant women with this information as possible. And then the last slide is that snippet of that annual report that I passed out to you all. As I mentioned, that gives more information about the broader work that's been underway with public education since January. But I wanted to take a few minutes this morning to really do a show and tell of the pregnancy campaign that's underway and the press conference, and also make sure I took an opportunity to publicly thank all of our partners, but in particular, Mad Global, Truth, and Real Art, who made that press conference instrumental. So that is all of my remarks, but happy to answer any questions or hear if there's any additional comments from the board members, or if Julie, you had anything you wanted to share from participating in the press conference.
I really liked the partners that we had come together from the state, from the nation, you know, with the Truth Initiative, really coming together and talking with one voice on this is a real issue that women need to know the facts when they're pregnant and what this usage can do. So thank you all for putting that together. I was really honored to be part of that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody have questions for Amy? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will look at going into executive session next. And as we have exited executive session, the board acknowledges the conflicts of interest disclosed during executive session. And these disclosures have been documented and will be on file with Foundation and included in our meeting minutes. We have 2 items to vote on that were discussed in executive session. The first one would be to support staff advocacy to ensure the continuation of the public education program in Ohio's next state budget. And I would welcome a motion for this.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Jeanette seconds. And Dr. Roizen was the first.
Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
We have 1 opposition.
Can you document Scott Silac as abstain?
Yes, we will do that. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, the second motion we have is to fund 206 projects that were discussed in executive session for a total of $40,549,776. There's a motion by Tom Gregor for that and a second by Robert Radcliffe. All those in favor of approving these grants, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed?
I'm going to abstain since I had to step out of the executive session.
Okay,
It's Commissioner Stahl, board member. I abstain.
okay. 2 abstentions noted. Any others? All right, the motion passes. We're so excited to be moving on to grant cycle 2. I'm going to turn the floor over to our investment committee chair, Jim White, to discuss the recommended investment policy updates.
Oh, great. Can everyone hear me? Thank you.
Yes.
I think, do we have the BlackRock folks on?
We're here, Jim. Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Great to see everyone. Thanks for having us.
So I'm going to really, I guess, turn this over to Ned and his team. Alicia, is there going to be are we voting on something here to approve the investment policy statement at the end of this?
So we would be after this presentation, in your package, you should have received the red line investment policy that
Right.
has been recommended by the investment committee. And so we'll go through the presentation, answer any questions, and then we would need a motion, Jim.
Okay, great. So I will turn it over to Ned and his team to go through kind of the overview of our investment policy statement, which we've been working on for quite some time now, and hopefully going to finally, put this to bed and really with the goal of having a motion approving this and then getting started with everything, hopefully in October. And I think after Ned's done, we'll talk a little bit, I'll give a little update on and maybe Alicia, you too, on the conversations that we're having with our new custodian. Ned, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thanks to the entire One Ohio team across staff and the committees for your work on establishing the investment strategy, the policy that is really kind of then now codified in this document. And just for the board's benefit, maybe I'll summarize kind of how those decisions are reflected in the IPS, which you're seeing here on this slide. I'd say we probably have a particular passion for IPS just because it always starts with kind of the purpose of the organization and of the assets themselves, which are, of course, to support misuse prevention, treatment, recovery efforts. And so we never lose sight of that and always anchor back to that goal. But maybe to focus on what's different, because we did start with the original document, much of which we retained, but kind of where the three, I would say, main areas of update are, and you can see them summarized on the lower left here of this slide, is just first to make sure that the document reflects the update to kind of two pools. So the original cash pool and then the investment portfolio. The second is kind of the role of the OCIO at BlackRock. The original document kind of scopes out that there will be an OCIO, talks about what that OCIO will do. And so this is kind of reflecting that has now been established. And then last, putting those decisions around investment strategy and investment policy, spending policy into the document itself. Any questions on that overview? Great. Maybe if we could move one slide forward, we'll just get into a little bit more of the detail of what those changes mean. And so we'll kind of talk about these in two parts. Maybe first, kind of goals, higher level scope, roles, things like that. And then second would be investments. I'll tag in Will Jafari from the BlackRock One Ohio team to talk a bit about that. But to the first part, so we added things like making sure that the investment policy statement is reviewed annually, which we kind of think of as best practice. We also looked at the scope and, again, kind of the role of both portfolios now, an operating kind of cash portfolio as well as the long-term investment portfolio. That also means in terms of the goals and objectives for that portfolio that the investment policy statement reflect that it's going to be a multi-asset portfolio rather than just cash. And then to the roles and responsibilities, kind of clarifying what does the OCIO do, what does a custodian do, as Jim mentioned, that the foundation is bringing on the role of staff for the investment portfolio, et cetera. Any questions on those pieces? Okay, maybe with that, Will, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the investment updates?
Certainly, and I'll be on the next page here. And as Ned mentioned, I oversee the investment side of One Ohio's partnership with BlackRock. Just two things to expand on the next slide, please. The first is the spending policy, which was approved at the last meeting, and that places a 70% weight of the prior year's spending increased by inflation, plus a 30% weight of 5% spending rate multiplied by the previous year's portfolio market value. We've also laid out the two portfolios in detail, inserting language for the long-term portfolio, specifically the objectives to maximize the impact potential of the foundation over time. We also highlight the return and risk parameters, specifically a return target that exceeds that long-term investable universe benchmark that we discussed at the last board meeting of 60% global equities and 40% global bonds over a full market cycle. We also specify the permissible portfolio composition, which anchors on asset class diversification across public equities, public fixed income, and diversifying strategies. And then we acknowledge that assets held in commingled funds may result in exposure to settlement-related companies, but for separately managed accounts that the foundation may invest in, they'll consider restricting investments to settlement-related companies subject to market feasibility. The final piece is on the asset allocation targets and ranges, which you can see at the bottom right-hand corner of the slide here, which we will be operating in, which were approved last meeting. We'll notify foundation staff if we'll be outside of these ranges for any reason, such as a large market move, at which time we'll work with staff and the investment committee to bring the allocation ranges back into into the specified parameters. And then finally, no changes to the operating portfolio language included in the previous version of the investment policy statement. Any questions or comments on what we just shared?
I think one thing I'll just I'll just comment on that we may have glossed over a little bit is that, you know, there's been a lot of discussion around you know, how much cash we should have on hand. As most of you know right now, you know, PNC is, you know, managing a considerable portfolio for us. That was kind of a placeholder until we got kind of a long-term strategy in place. And I think what we've decided to do is to continue to use, you know, PNC for our kind of operating assets, if you will, assets that are, you know, both from an operating standpoint to run the organization, and also any kind of, you know, liabilities that we would have that go out kind of 6 months to a year. Those would be grant payments, etc. PNC will kind of continue to manage that portfolio to be a much smaller portfolio, and then everything else is going to be turned over to BlackRock to manage for kind of a long-term basis with this hybrid spending rule that we've agreed to. So just wanted to kind of clarify that a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone.
Dee, did you have a comment?
I do have a comment because it's been said we approved these things last meeting. And as I recall, we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't approve anything. And I just looked at the agenda. Am I right on that? Like, you look at remember, we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't approve anything last meeting.
But the executive committee did meet and take care of some business which is allowed in our regulations, that if the full board is unable to meet and certain things have to move forward, the executive committee can meet and do some things. So the executive committee did meet and do a couple motions that got left off that we were not able to complete because we had to continue to move forward.
That's fine, but
but you're right. You're right. You didn't get to vote because we ran out of time. But the executive committee did have a special meeting and move some of those issues forward.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Jim, done?
I guess proceed, Ned, or
And I think we just need a motion to approve the investment policy amendments as presented to the board today.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve those amendments? Motion by Tom Whiston. Is there a second? Second by Jeanette. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anyone opposed? And since there's been abstentions today, I'll make sure there's no abstentions.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. One abstention. Motion approved.
It's our finance people.
I'm sorry?
From One Ohio, we had finance people here at the last, forget the gentleman's name, and Jim Quinn, is he no longer with us, or?
Yes, certainly. I'm happy to answer the question. So Jim Quinn is back with us on a temporary basis. Iqbal Hader, I think is who you're remembering, is no longer with the organization. And so Panoramic and Jim Quinn are supporting the foundation until we find a new replacement in that staff member.
And David and Alexa are on.
And both of those folks are online. David and Alexa from Panoramic, who is our vendor that supports our work.
Okay. Jim, do you have anything further from the investment committee?
No, just I guess just to update everybody on the custodian. We did approve, I think, the investment committee at our last meeting to move forward with bank out of
Northern
Chicago.
Trust. Northern Trust.
Northern Trust, thank you, as our custodian. And I know that Alicia and her team have had multiple conversations about kind of the transition and the operational aspects of getting that set up. And I think BlackRock is now involved in those conversations. And I think there's we're putting in place kind of a plan to, transition those assets and those accounts to Northern Trust so we can get those assets being managed kind of at the October timeframe.
All right, thank you, Jim. We'd
Thank
like
you.
to move on to, did you have something else? Okay, moving on to the executive committee report. One important aspect of our work together is the leadership of our expert panel. And the One Ohio MOU included an expert panel as a part of our governance to ensure that we always had insight from individuals with lived and clinical experience. Although they're not here today, I know they've spent a lot of hours over the last year reviewing our grant applications and advising the foundation staff and our board on a variety of items. And at our last meeting, the executive committee reviewed the foundation's code of regulations and is recommending a revision to the provisions governing the expert panel terms. Given their commitment to our work, the executive committee is recommending an amendment to our code of regulations that would allow expert panel members to serve more than 2 terms, aligning their term limits with those of the foundation members. And this change is intended to promote continuity and current future grant rounds. As we've noted, there's some really wonderful people on the expert panel. We hate to lose them just because, well, you've been here for a couple years and see you so long. So we really thought it would be helpful to change the regulations to allow them further commitment to our entity. So can I have a motion to accept the recommended changes to the code of regulations and to remove the limit of 2 consecutive terms?
So moved. I'll second. Greta.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Greta. So we have a move by Jeanette and a second by Greta. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, following this change to our term limits, I would like to recommend several expert panel members to be reappointed. This includes Stephanie Robinson, Zil Slobata, and Kim Sperber. Can I have a motion to reappoint these members?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by
Second.
Dee and a second by Daphne. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? All right, we will very happily have these people continue on. Then we've got the Audit and Finance Committee. At our last meeting, the committee appointed Don Mason as the new chair of the committee. However, Don's on jury duty, and so he is not here. I know, but he says at his July 22nd, 2026 meeting, they approved the minutes of the May meeting and the April and May financial reports. It was important to note that discussion focused on the increasing activity associated with the statewide public education initiative, which has significantly expanded the foundation's financial reporting due to the size of the program. It was noted that most initiative expenditures will occur during the second half of the fiscal year. Discussion then shifted to reviewing a redesigned financial reporting package intended to provide greater transparency into the foundation's financial position. The updated reports included a traditional statement of financial position and statement of activities, expanded departmental reporting, clearer presentation of investments and grant liabilities, and improved visibility into operating expenses. Committee members also discussed including additional tools to improve understanding of the reports. The meeting also had an executive session for the purpose of discussing banking and investment procedures and related matters. After the executive session, the committee unanimously approved recommending to the board of directors that the foundation maintain 6 months of operating cash on a rolling basis and invest the remaining balance through Northern Trust. This concludes his report, and he appreciates the opportunity to be involved with the One Ohio Recovery Foundation, directors, staff, volunteers, and supporters. So we thank Don for that service. Okay, so then I'm going to turn this over to Alicia to walk through the financial statements.
And I know we're cutting it close on time. I will take the lead here and just kind of walk through the few slides we have. Notice that these slides look the same as they have previously looked. The next meeting, you will see the new reports and the new detail in each of the programs. I know a few of you have asked some of that program level detail. That being said, I think overall there is not much to report, which is a good thing from a financial perspective. Don's report really spoke to the increased use of public education funds and embedding that program into our general operations budget. From the cash balance on the next slide, I think the highlight here is that we received payments from Walgreens and Kroger in April. And so we were always pleased to see those come in on schedule. And then as we look at the regional grant budget for April, a lot of activity, closeout reports have happened for many of our 12-month grantees. And we are looking at payments on schedule for many of our other grantees through this April report. And if we keep moving to May, we continue that discussion of, just implementing the public education program. We are at 67% spent on our operating budget in August. We are in good financial health as it relates to that, and really continue to be as frugal and as cash conscious as possible as we make every decision here at the foundation when it comes to our operations budget.
Quick question.
Yes.
The public education initiative, it looks like you got 20 million in there. Our contribution is only 2 million. Why is that listed? Why is on the money from the Department of Commerce under our budget? Because we run it?
It is because we run it. Short answer. I know David is on the line. So the revenue from that, we expect 15 million in revenue from that program, and that would be reflected in one of our future cash balance reports as we get those revenues coming in.
And then how much have we received from the Department of Commerce?
So we're expecting a payment near $7 million here in the next couple weeks.
Thanks.
All right. And then in May, no activities from settlement payments. And I know I'm going through this fast. Happy to talk through any questions about that or anything else. I guess the only other thing from a regional grant budget cycle, just an update here. This report will look very different. We just approved a number of grants. And so this report will get a facelift. It'll start to include regions grant cycle 1 and 2. And we'll talk more in the next meeting since we're short on time here, but just what's happening with some of our closeout grants and when funds come back to us from grantees, which does happen. And so we will get into that at our next meeting due to time.
Keep separate reports for each grant cycle?
We can.
I think it would be better.
Yeah, we can. I think the money is moving around a lot, so that could help it for sure in terms of grantees returning payments and unspent funds. So it'll make it more clear what happens with all, couple hundred grantees here. Okay. So with that, we would need a motion to approve April and May.
Can I have a motion to approve April and May? And I heard it's something over my shoulder.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Roizen.
Dr. Roizen. And a second. A second.
Second.
By well, we got the judge beat you first. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? All right. In the interest of time, we are going to skip the Personnel Committee report. Keith will be more than happy to do that next time. Do we have any new business for today? All right. So our next meeting will be held on September 3rd. As a quick update, this meeting was originally proposed to be from 10 to noon. 10 to 2. Are we still at a 10 to 2?
I think we got to enough grants today that we will shorten next month's meeting to 10 to 12 because we got through the grants we were hoping to get through today. Hopefully that helps give you guys those 2 hours back.
All right. If there is no other business to conduct today, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Thanks.
So moved by Greta and second by Robert.
Yeah. What's that?
That was our easy one.
Yeah. I usually would.
Thank everyone online.
I heard. Go. Yeah.
A lot to get here.